Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.
Making It Personal with Bishop William Johnson on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Johnson. I'm Jean Till, and on today's show, Tim Cannon is joining us. He is the Activities Director at St. Albert Catholic Schools in Council Bluffs.
Always good to connect with the St. Albert community and Mr. Cannon there in that role. This is a happening time of year, as we know, tournaments and season's winding up, and so we'll get the pulse of that and all that's going on.
And you brought your St. Albert gear?
Well, yes, I've got my St. Albert scarf, which is much needed these days.
That's right.
So
it is winter in Iowa.
The swag that they give me, and they gave all the priests at the mass we had at Catholic Schools Week at St. Albert's very nice black blast jackets with the distinctive St. Albert cross. So
cool.
It's a great chance to witness and appreciative of that gift. That's won't just sit on a shelf, but it's going to really be used and then give witness to the good news of St. Albert. The Pulse of the Spirit last night at St. Francis of Assisi Church, West Des Moines. The Youth 2000 retreat is taking place this weekend, and so reaching out and trying to energize our young people in the faith, thanks to Deacon Kelly and wife Maureen Stone, who've been kind of spearheading this, as well as Father Ryan Andrews. So privileged to be part of that. So we pray for many graces for these people, that they actually encounter Jesus and know his invitation to friendship, so that they can abide in the communion of life that we want to share in the Diocese of Des Moines and beyond. And so,
when adults want to participate in those things, they just have to be a chaperone.
Exactly.
Because oftentimes they are so cool, such great events, and it's like they lift our spirits too. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to be a chaperone again.
Yeah, so you can run out there today, Jean, if you'd like. We're not far here in West Des Moines, so very good. And then continuing on with an engagement, something new for me. I'm not sure what I'm getting into, the Lyceum conversations, and going to be talking about work from a Catholic Christian perspective later this afternoon. And I don't know if there's a beverage in hand or not, so, just kind of a amicable setting to engage on topics that enlarge our souls as well. Then we'll be with the good young people up at St. Luke's Ankeny on Sunday the 23rd, because they have such a large cohort, 2 confirmation masses, and we always engage them beforehand and kind of asking them questions, about their baptismal commitment. When we say, do you reject Satan and all his works and empty promises? I mean, he's the one who wants to think our lives don't matter. And that we struggle and suffer for naught, and that there's nothing there, and you think God cares about you, and so the sower
lies.
Sower of lies. So, and a God who's always for us, always wants to accompany us, and it spurs us then to be pilgrims of hope, accompanying each other in a beautiful way. I think Father Tom Dooley, St. Joseph Winterset, Father Chris Rising, now pastor of All Saints in Des Moines, will be auctioning off a dinner for the Iowa Catholic Radio at the Men's Stag last summer. So I get to be the privileged host, and I don't lift one finger in the kitchen except to help carry some plates back out. So always a lively meal. And
I never thought of you as a busboy.
They are such accomplished chefs. This is I believe, at least the 3rd time we've hosted that. And
wow.
So it lifts up Iowa Catholic Radio and expands the waistline for some of us, because it's usually a multi-course affair. Iowa Catholic Radio has its big annual event coming up.
They do. We have our spring fundraiser. That's next week, the Tuesday through Friday, and it is such a good time when people call in, 515-223-1150. You guys will hear that all next week. To call in and not only pledge your support, but also share the impact, be the witness of how Iowa Catholic Radio has impacted your life. And that is pretty powerful.
Yeah, we love to hear those testimonials. So those great stories. And, again, the medium of evangelization, drawing people into the fold, that they can kind of sow into the Word and sow into God's Spirit and in so many beautiful ways. And personally, I'm a proud uncle here. I'm going to give a shout out to my nephew, Max. I'll be dashing over to Iowa City on Friday night, the 28th, Regina Catholic School, their spring musical or winter musical, The Addams Family. And nephew Max gets to play Gomez, so we'll see.
Oh, fun.
I hear he's practicing how to tango, so he's never been, he was an offensive lineman. I don't know how adroit he is.
Well, I think that will be good.
So, if he can charm his partner there, that'll be really something. So, again, the human dimension. So, thank you.
Sounds like so much fun.
Thanks for letting me indulge myself.
You're welcome. Hey, we're taking that quick break, and when we return, we'll visit with Tim Cannon, Activities Director at St. Albert Catholic Schools in Council Bluffs. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Johnson on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network. Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Johnson. And on today's show, we're visiting with Tim Cannon, Activities Director at St. Albert Catholic Schools in Council Bluffs.
Good to have you, Mr. Cannon, if I may call you Tim, with us today. And our encounters at the Mass for Catholic Schools Week at St. Albert Catholic a few weeks ago, I just was witnessing how the students, you're back at St. Albert, but how comfortable they are. You're kind of a mentor, father figure that just seemed like a great rapport with the young people. And so, different kinds were kind of streaming around Mass and hanging out with you. Is that something you feel? You've always kind of had that charism, or do you see yourself in that light?
Well, thank you very much, Bishop Johnson. I appreciate that. I do cherish that role and the ability to be able to do that. I taught 43 years before I so-called retired in Albert. And I love to say that one reason I kept teaching is I just loved my relationships with the students in the classroom and, of course, coaching. But, I always felt like they kept me young. It was a great thing for me, but I enjoyed just being able just to talk to young people, and sometimes it is mentoring and advice besides teaching the subject matter, which the subject matter was enjoyable. I taught a lot of social studies, a lot of history, a lot of government, and those things were all enjoyable too.
Oh, well, it's just I won't get on my stump here or pulpit, but this the awareness of government and civics and everything else, I think is declining, and so
it needs to go the other direction.
People like you as apostles of that as well. So in this Making It Personal show, what were some of the stops over those 40 plus years that now here you are back at St. Albert?
Well, when I graduated from St. Albert, I went to Benedictine College in Atchison for 2 years, and then I came back and graduated from Creighton. And I received my master's degree from UNO in school administration. I started teaching first at Omaha Cathedral, which was a beautiful place, great school right on the campus of St. Cecilia's Cathedral, which is a beautiful church in Omaha. And I was there for 6 years. We always played St. Albert. We were in the same conference in sports, so I always kind of felt like I was at the St. Albert of Omaha. We were very similar in size and those things. And those years were wonderful. Taught social studies, like I said, ended up teaching religion for 3 years there, which was very enjoyable also. And then I went to Omaha Bryan, which was my move to public schools to try to further my career. And, a lot of things come with it. One is I knew I would like to build a public school retirement down the road. So I was there 28 years, which was a great experience. And then I went to Millard North High School for 9 years. And, and I taught there. I had all of them on teaching and coaching basketball and coached some other sports. I was also a dean of students at Bryan for 11 years, which sounds much more glorious as a college title, but in high school it's taking care of discipline. Basically.
I was just say, telling parents, well, something we're not going to say. My kid would never do that, right?
Yes,
right. Yes, that's right.
What?
So, momentarily distracted here as I'm watching cars slide around like they're on a hockey rink out here on 50th Street in West Des Moines. Back to it. Were you thrown in a lot of times with whether it was teaching a particular subject or even asked to coach something that you're like, well, I don't really have a real deep pedigree on this, but here we go. Was it kind of an act of faith for you at times?
Yes, the answer to that would be yes, a lot of times. So yes. In my first year at Cathedral, they asked me to coach cross country, and of course I told them I'd never done that, but I had a very good person who, back then, they wanted to make sure we had a faculty member endorsed as a coach to do it, and then we had an outside person who was a tremendous help. When I was asked to teach religion after 3 years of teaching social studies, the next 3 years I just taught both. But when I began at Cathedral, we had two priests that were teaching religion classes, and they taught right next door to me. And another friend of mine next door to all of us, we were all brand new. Well, 3 years later, both priests were just sent to new positions. We didn't have a priest in the building, so I became a religion teacher, and that was quite new and a challenge, but it was fun. We really spoke a lot about every kind of facet of life, vocations and married life, and everything that you could possibly cover. So it was good.
And were you yourself married by then, or?
Yes. We were married at age 22, and we have 3 beautiful daughters, and my oldest daughter started off going to St. Cecilia's grade school, which was a real pleasure. And then we eventually moved into the Holy Cross Parish in Omaha, and my children went to Holy Cross School, and then they went to Mercy High School after that.
Oh, he
wonderful school in Omaha.
Charted much of the archdiocese there. So, and the relationships with clergy, I don't know if they left you their notes when they moved on to another assignment in the class or not, but those materials, yeah. What do you see in terms of maybe, as one who's got the vast wide-angle lens here, changes in the culture within the classroom, changes, generationally now in your approach to coaching or that? That's a big question, but a philosophical question.
It's a great question. I really believe that something I've read a few times recently of a pretty famous college coach, and his thoughts go along the lines that students and players and kids and your students in school, they don't really change a whole lot. It's kind of our society, and sometimes our expectations have changed. And so his point was, hold the young people to high standards. And I agree with him a lot, but I don't think over the years I haven't seen students change that much. But societal pressures and societal expectations sometimes have changed. And I believe the great thing of the Catholic school is, we can teach and preach and hold our students to a very high standard.
Mm-hmm. 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 And a chance to give witness and to make connections, in the classroom and the holistic view of the human person. So, okay, well, that's a fair question. Maybe some of them are struggling a little more with some family dynamics or things. We can't presume the nuclear family in the way that we did, and so some of those challenges too, where maybe the parents don't really kind of know their faith or grasp their faith, but obviously they make that commitment to send them to St. Albert's, for which we're so grateful. And hopefully this is something that enhances the whole family's awareness of their relationship with Jesus as well. So did you think, oh man, 24, 25, I'll be back at St. Albert's? Was that part of the plan, or how did this happen?
I can honestly say when I was at Cathedral for 6 years, I then and all my years since, I've always followed St. Albert closely, and I really did have thoughts that I would love to return to St. Albert someday and teach and coach basketball was always a big goal. And then, once I moved into the job at Omaha Bryan, like I said, I was there 28 years, so a lot of that, kind of went distant. Those thoughts went distant because it just was not going to be the right time or right decision to move. But when this opportunity occurred, I was substitute teaching at St. Albert just last January for a month, and it was a physical education weightlifting class, and I got to meet a lot of kids, and and that's kind of what got me back in touch more with St. Albert, and that substituting was a great experience, and I knew right away that I just thought, well, this is a great place to be, and then the opportunities came up for me later.
Wow. So it kind of grabbed your heart again, activated your heart in that. So,
yes.
I always wonder if the substitute, has a little tough go, that maybe in my darker days of my youth, I would, kind of sift and test the substitute, see what boundaries I could push. See,
yes. I agree.
Yeah, I ended with detention a few times, so my big mouth.
Yes. One of the things that happened when I substituted for that month, the students just coming in and out of class, they said thank you so many times. I just thought this is really quite an experience, and it's not an accident. People have been teaching them to be grateful and say thank you, and I thought that was really a great experience.
Wow, powerful. That speaks so well of the culture at St. Albert, so Good. Well, it's kind of moving into tournament time and everything. Unfortunately, with the pre-record, we know there are some tournament games for both the boys and the girls, the Saints and the Falcons this week. How would you characterize the season? Obviously, the Saints are flying high here, so hopefully that continues. They're fortunate, as with last year, that they'll end up at, I don't know if we call it the Well anymore, now that Casey's has taken over the arena here. I don't know if there's a new nickname for that, but we'll have to check into that. Can you comment on the season and, different trajectory, but both kind of ending on a high note so far?
Sure, yes, it's been a really wonderful season. The girls currently just have one loss. They're ranked number 1 in Class 1A. And the girls will have, as long as they proceed with victories, they have 2 home games in our regional play, and then they'll play on a neutral floor. It would be on Wednesday, if I get that date right. It would be Wednesday, the 26th would be the game to go to state. Mm-hmm. And that would be, like I said, on a neutral floor. But they've had a great season. They've won the Hawkeye 10 Conference for the second time in a row. And for people that don't know, our conference of 11 teams, we are the only 1A team. Everyone else is 2A, 3A, and we even have 1 4A. So it's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, I confess, one maybe moment that wasn't maybe praying as I was celebrating Mass. I was looking at the banners for the conference. I thought, wow, Lewis Central and Harlan, and that's you run with the big boys there, don't you?
Yeah, very much so. And they've won it 2 years in a row, undefeated this year in the conference. The one loss was at Carroll High School, which is a much bigger school, 1-pointer. So the girls, they're doing great, and they know they've got a wonderful chance to get to the state tournament first. You never want to take anything for granted. It's difficult just to get there, and then.
But they're so experienced too, right? I mean, veteran team, and they've been in the pressure cooker, and so they kind of, without being arrogant, they just kind of, this is who we are, and we're here to win, and that's what we're going to do. That's
true, and Coach Wettengill does a great job of playing regularly. His 12 girls, they all play regularly. He substitutes very freely. So a lot of the girls will be coming back again next year with tremendous experience. And it'll be great.
Yeah. So when you're relieved, your substitute comes in for you. It's not, oh man, I really screwed up. I'm not going to see the floor again, right? It's just that's the kind of the style of play and
It's just the style. They know they're going to come back in. Yeah, they really support each other very well.
Yeah, so
they're doing great.
And your Falcons, your boys, are doing quite well as well, particularly in the latter half of the season.
Thank you. We're very proud of them. We won 7 games in a row here at the end of the year. We've increased our win total. Last year was just 4, and right now we are 12-10. And like I say, we open tournament play Monday with Boyer Valley, and our young men have done really well and just coming together as a team. We get excellent student crowds at both girl and boy games. We're very grateful to our students for that, and I think our young men have enjoyed the basketball season a lot, just getting things going here, and a chance now to see how well we can do in tournament play.
Wow, that would be marvelous. And it'd be at the break, I was kind of mentioning to you that, Boyer Valley, Dunlap, St. Patrick's Parish, obviously. I'll be there next week for confirmation. So we'll see if there's some hurting young man whose hopes have been dashed and minister to them. So, and, my loyalties are spread widely. So, yeah. So, I confess I've not seen your team play this year. That would be a hope maybe in the tournament time. And as a former basketball official myself, can you comment on you seem like such a patrician gentleman. Is that always the case, or do you ever, does the intensity ramp up and you have a few comments for the officials?
I would say both sides of what you just expressed there. I'm usually pretty calm, but I do have times where I'm a little bit more animated with officials. I try to talk to officials when they're right in front of me. I don't want to yell across the floor and embarrass someone and those things, but I do talk to them and try to get them leaning our way for a call or two. But we've had great officials at St. Albert and all over the places we've played, and I do try to teach to our players, to have poise and composure, and so I try to lead in that way. For the most part, I'd say I'm more on the calm side.
Wisdom after all these years, right? Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true also. Years ago, I was coaching my cathedral team at our fellow Catholic school, Columbus Scotus, and I didn't like a call, and I told my assistant coach to watch this, because back then, if you stood up, you got a technical.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I was trying to get one to defend my team, but before I sat down, I had two. That was not good.
Oops. Bye-bye.
And Bishop, I guarantee you, I do not ever cuss. I don't ever cuss with my players. I teach, let's do things properly in the Catholic way, in the St. Albert way, and using curse words is not part of that. But I said something to irritate them enough, they gave me 2 seconds.
Okay. Well, I wasn't going to ask that explicit question, but thank you. So
Well, hey, stay with us, folks, as we continue our conversation with Tim Cannon, the Activities Director at St. Albert Catholic Schools in Council Bluffs. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Johnson on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network. Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Johnson.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Cannon, for staying with us. We've been talking about basketball, but your umbrella of duties and attentions as activities director is very broad. Some of the other sports, I know we finished with girls wrestling, kind of one of the hot and up-and-coming sports in the state, and true athleticism here. And there have been a couple of young women from St. Albert who participated.
Yes, we got a couple of young ladies who, because of only having two girl wrestlers, we co-op with Lewis Central, and they just finished their season, did a good job, and the girls' state tournament has really become quite a big event in Iowa.
Yeah, do you envision that the interest will grow, and camps and other things, that this is a sport poised to take off even at St. Albert?
I think it will grow. Right now, it's growing all over the state, and I would foresee it growing, and we have some girls. Middle school wrestling also, so I do believe it will grow. Yes, very much so.
Okay, well, I won't mess with any of those girl servers, when I'm there for mass. I'll get slammed on my back, double leg takedown.
Yeah.
And then over the last decade or more, one of the fastest growing sports among high school youth in our country, bowling.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we've got a lot going on with bowling right now. Our boys and girls bowling programs have been very successful over the years, very organized, very active. We have many of our meets at the Bolero Bowling Alley in Council Bluffs, which is really, I think all the schools around love coming really to the Council Bluffs Bowling Alley. So tomorrow we have the Hawkeye 10 Conference, bowling league boys and girls here in Council Bluffs at the Bolero, and Lewis Central and St. Albert we co-host. And then Monday and Tuesday we have the state, it's actually called the state qualifying meet that we host every year, also at the Bolero Bowl. So Monday and Tuesday our boys and girls will be competing.
Now, is there a home lanes advantage? I mean, do they know? There's a little this lane, kind of it sends a little curve. Again, I'm not a bowler, so I'm speaking out of my brain here.
I definitely think there is. That they're, they bowl there. Our boys and girls bowl there so much. I do think there is an advantage. They know the lanes better. I do think so.
Okay, all right. Well, more power to it.
Yeah.
And again, we were anticipating here with our pre-record here, so hopefully the results of that went well. But activities director, very broad, and some events even this weekend with the mother-son dance, the father-daughter, concerts, music, other things, cooking. So it's a three-ring circus for you every day.
Yes, all those activities, the dance and the concert are great. We just had our play called The Rehearsal, which was a very, very good play, and we've done a lot of that during the year with plays and musicals. I do want to mention very strongly our boys wrestling team has really just had a great year. They have 21 wrestlers this year, which is the most we've ever had in the program. Our senior night we had a quad, which means you wrestle 3 other schools. We went 3-0, and kids did very well. We were almost at the point of the most successful season ever, and district's coming up this Saturday at Underwood.
Wow, well, way to go. And that time spent in the weight room is paying off then, right?
Well, that's very true. So many of our students participate in multiple sports, which is great. And some of our weight room workouts last summer were excellent for the girls and the boys. Participation was really, really good. And besides gaining strength and quickness, just a lot of camaraderie was developed there.
And hopefully the weight room can be a place that lifts people up and doesn't sink to the lowest common denominator. That's a refrain I get sometimes impressed. But again, the musical tradition of St. Albert that I get to glimpse and experience, particularly in the liturgy, very sublime, beautiful way. So, Mr. Cannon, thank you so much for all you're doing. I hope you do get some sleep on occasion and a day off. But if not, that's what the summer's for.
That's right. It's fine. Yes, no, I very much appreciate you just talking with me today, and I appreciate all the fabulous work that you do. And it's an honor and a privilege to work at St. Albert, and we are very grateful when you visit our school and the masses you do for us. And appreciate it very much.
All right. Onward. Here we go. Thank you.
This has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Johnson. Thank you to our guests and all of our listeners in Iowa and Nebraska, Wisconsin, or wherever you may be listening on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Johnson every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.